is it?
I don't know.
Leatherface is back on the big screen for the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8th time. The 2017 version of Leatherface will explore the character's origins and the events that transformed him into the deranged murderer that we've seen throughout the film franchise.
Keeping them here is safer for everyone.
Before we talk about Leatherface, be sure to hit subscribe for the latest on movies, TV shows, comics, and much more. And if you're into horror, well, we're breaking down episodes of American Horror Story Cult right now on Universe. First, let's start with the inspiration behind Leatherface. Although a work of fiction, the skin-wearing villain was almost certainly influenced by real-world killer and grave robber Ed Gein. A 1957 Wisconsin murder investigation revealed Gein to be an extremely sick man who fashioned clothing and household items out of human body parts. But the man responsible for directing the Chainsaw Massacre, as well as many other horror classics, said that Gein wasn't the only inspiration. I'll let the late great Tobe Hooper explain.
This guy told me this story when I was about 7 or 8 years old, about being a pre-med student and skinning a cadaver's face and wearing it to the Halloween party.
Wow, it sounds like someone took Halloween a little too serious. Hooper also pulled aspects of Elmer Wayne Henley, who was a teenage accomplice of Dean Corll, aka the Candyman. The Houston mass murders claimed the lives of at least 28 teenage boys, and by the 1970s, was the deadliest case of serial murders in US history. So how'd he get the name? Well, this one's obvious, right? I mean, he used a mask made of human skin. But what you might not know is that this epidermis-obsessed psycho actually wore 3 different masks in the original film. There was the killing mask while chasing and murdering captives, the old lady mask when he's working in the kitchen, hello! And the pretty woman mask when he really wants to dress up. Because, you know, different occasions call for different outfits, even for a serial killer. According to Gunnar Hansen, who portrayed Leatherface in the original film, the mask determined the villain's personality. He'd go from domesticated housewife to a ravenous hunter depending upon his look. And without a mask, he couldn't express himself. What about his real name? Well, in the original 1974 film, his name was Jedediah Sawyer. But in the second film and in Texas Chainsaw 3D, his brother refers to him as Bubba. Yep, Bubba Sawyer. But it's totally possible that he's just showing his brother some affection, right? In the third film, his family refers to him as Junior, and in the fourth film, he's called Leather by his relatives. For the remake, he's named Thomas, and he actually lives with his adoptive family, the equally horrifying Hewitts. Yes, family matters, especially in this case because the entire Sawyer family is nuts, and they're cannibals. Throughout the film franchise, we've been introduced to a handful of Leatherface's immediate family. That included a few brothers like Nubbins and Chop Top, Drayton, who was later revealed to be his father, and the wheelchair-bound Mama, also the head of the family, Grandpa Sawyer. In 2017's Leatherface, we will get to see the events that unfolded prior to the original film. The youngest Sawyer child was sent to a mental hospital after the sheriff's daughter was found dead. He escapes the hospital 10 years later, with of course a young nurse as a captive. A whole lot of violence ensues, and he soon grows up to be the monster known as Leatherface. Leatherface's go-to weapon of choice is of course the chainsaw, one of the most iconic weapons in horror film history, and the story behind it is pretty fascinating. Back in the 1970s, during a Christmas shopping trip in a crowded department store, Tobe Hooper found himself in the hardware section, specifically in front of the chainsaws. He thought how quickly he could escape the Christmas chaos with such a tool, but he used much better judgment and decided to just add the chainsaw into his script for the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Oh, and by the way, when Leatherface can't get his hands on his trusty old chainsaw, he's known to use a large sledgehammer when attacking his victims. Guys, thanks so much for watching. Do me a favor and hit subscribe right over here. And also, join me in the comments and let me know which Texas Chainsaw Massacre moment is your favorite. And if you plan on dressing up as Leatherface for Halloween, don't use human skin. Seriously.
Brought to you by The Evil Within 2. The Evil Within 2, available now.